Hello everyone and welcome to another in my series of Orca Verdict Day videos, where I'm going to basically be rambling for about half an hour or so. And today the topic is cannons. Now I'm basically going to be talking about two cannons, namely the AUG C19 and the Knocker. Both of which are basically the two most overall effective cannons, and the rest of them are somewhat usable but not really. And even then, these two strong cannons have a lot of flaws in them that make them kind of hard to use. So, because of the way that cannons work, cannons require that you have to go into ready position before you can fire them. However, tanks don't have that limitation, so tanks are pretty much the only leg type that can really make any use of cannon type weapons reliably. And so right here, here's the AUG C19 that I mentioned. This one is unique in that it's a little bit more accurate than its freaking counterpart, the Knocker. It has better lock speeds and it has more muzzle velocity, but I believe it also does more damage overall. Yeah, it's gonna do more damage on the same tunes, but it's gonna have lower DPS and less ammo. So this one is basically the one that you would want to use if you wanted to use cannons on a tank and you weren't trying to build like an overly specialized tank. Because these are going to be useful at medium to close range, and they're going to hit pretty hard. And if you get lucky, you might stun someone with the impact force on them. Because cannons have kind of ludicrous impact force. This one has 2,187, despite being on an accuracy tune. Now, one of the main problems with cannons is that they have relatively poor DPS for how inaccurate they are. And for example, this one, it only has if I were to compare that one to the power-tuned cannon, the power-tuned cannon does almost 5,000 damage with better range, but it also has lower muzzle velocity and a pretty poor lock-on time. So that's why I went for the accuracy tune. I'm pretty sure anyone else who uses these cannons will probably do something fairly similar. If not a full accuracy tune, then a mix of accuracy and power. Well, the mix of accuracy and power depends on how many subcomputers you have and what FCS you're using. So, because cannons are primarily used on tanks and they're kind of short range, there's a lot of limitations with the FCS that you can use on these things. And since there's basically two FCSs that are viable on tanks, there's this one, the E28, and then the 215, which is basically if you want to try and improve the lock speeds, but you give up on the range and lock size. Which is somewhat okay in some scenarios, but it really depends. So yeah, these cannons are pretty cool. They're real nice mid-range weapons because they hit decently and they hit pretty hard. But the main issue is that they have 25 shots each, and 25 shots is enough for maybe 2 kills if you're hitting most of your shots. But if you're trying to fight 4 people, or if you're in a situation where you need to kill more than 2 people, or if you're just fucking not a good shot, then you will run out of ammo with these things really easily. Which kind of sucks, especially because they have kind of poor accuracy. So you have to decide whether or not you want to supplement their accuracy with subcomputers, or if you want to try and give them more ammo to make it so you can last the entire fight. But the problem with bringing ammo is that if you're not hitting anyone, then what's the point? There's a lot of cannons take some work to make them function. They really do, especially these. Because you have to balance between your ammo, how hard you want to hit, and how accurately you want to be able to hit things. Now, for the builds that usually go along with these type of cannons, you usually want something light, or fairly light for a tank at least, with moderate defenses. So the LTA 122 and I believe the LTB series, yeah, these two, LTB 105, are both pretty good for using cannons. LTB is if you want to approach faster. LTA is going to be more useful if you're trying to play a little more defensively. So, yeah, basically with cannons, the main way to do it is usually to bring a fairly light tank and play around with your opponents and try to just keep hitting them with the cannon shots. Because cannons, even though they're not the most effective, they're fairly effective, and if someone gets close to you and you can get your shots off consistently, you will be doing a lot of damage. So that's the nice thing about cannons. The other thing is that they punch through armor pretty well, and they're really good against enemy tanks. So I'll do a quick test just to show it off. I'll grab an enemy tank unit. Oh, nope. In fact, I believe one of the units I showed in an earlier video that I was using as a test target actually uses these cannons. It was kind of wrecking me with them. So if you remember that, then you have an idea of how well these things can work under the right circumstances. The only problem is that they're kind of circumstantial. They're not too good at long range, and they're not too good at short range.
System scan mode. System combat mode.
Alright.
Damage sustained. Shake the enemy.
Forget how dangerous this unit tank is. And but yeah, as a very clear example here, against an enemy AC that just has a lot of firepower, the cannons don't do very well. They don't have the best DPS because they fire kind of slowly. And here, killing one AC, I almost went through all my ammo. So that was an example of a scenario where the cannons don't do particularly well because they don't have a ton of ammo and they don't have the best DPS either. So those type of cannons are probably going to be a lot more useful against medium to lightweight ACs because you're going to have an easier time catching them. So that's the main reason why you would want to use them, is if you want to try and catch things at mid-range. Especially midweights. Midweights have a hard time with cannons because they don't really block it out and they don't have a lot of health either. So they can dive a little faster to these cannons. Now we're going to talk about the other type of cannon, the knocker. Now, the knocker cannon is almost like a different ideology to the C19, in that the knocker cannon has kind of lowish damage per shot, a really good reload speed, decent ammo, and really poor accuracy. But the accuracy mostly stems from the fact that they have really bad muzzle velocity. Although you can improve the accuracy a fair bit with subcomputers. So with these, using the subcomputers isn't as much of an issue because, well, you have slightly more ammo to work with. So that's one of the main advantages of it. However, if you were to go full retard and bring a bunch of ammo, you would have enough ammo to easily kill like full squads. It's just, could you hit them? So with knocker cannons, you would go for pretty much the same thing, except that you'd probably want to go for the LTB legs over the LTA legs, because with knocker cannons, it's a lot more effective to approach someone quickly than anything else, because they have really short range and they're not too accurate. So you need to be in someone's face to really effectively make use of these things. So these knocker cannons might do a little better against this unit tank.
Main system combat mode activated. System scan mode. System
Alright,
combat mode.
let's go. As you can see, the knocker cannons kind of take a while to lock on, but they're also firing way faster than the old C19 cannon. Yeah, so that actually went very well.
Mission complete.
I mean, mind you, that tank was a really slow target, so I was able to hit all of my shots, but I was also able to do a lot of damage very quickly. And the other cool thing about the knocker tank is that if you get the stun on someone, and they get stuck in a scenario where they can't really move too much, then you can stun lock them, which is pretty fun. The knocker cannons are really good against enemy heavyweights, enemy tanks, although not as much against tanks, more against heavyweights. Tanks can sometimes fight back pretty effectively. So, like, if I were to load up, I don't have any proper heavyweights in these units. Oh well. I guess I'll continue to talk about these cannons. So the knocker cannons are really cool in that they basically just do a lot of damage very quickly, but they're short range, they're inaccurate, and they have poor lock speeds. So with the knocker cannons, I would definitely probably go for the was it the 215? Yeah, there it is. I'd definitely go for this 215 over the E28, because the 215 is going to have significantly improved lock speeds. It's going to be way better. In fact, like the E28 actually slows down your walk on slightly compared to like the neutral walk. And also the 215 also benefits a lot more from that. So a scenario I might use is basically like the 215 and ammo, and then just kind of try to deal with the poor accuracy by getting really close. And so if you can hit someone reliably with those cannons, then you'll be able to get a lot of kills. Only problem is that getting the reliable hits is a lot more skill based than anything, because you have to be able to time your shots and know where your opponent's going, really. So there's that. Or, like, for example, if you just fight someone who doesn't know how to dodge them, then you're gonna have an easy time. We'll go up against the enemy cannon tank to prove how the knockers fare against the other cannons. Where is the enemy cannon tank? Here it is. Also, I was originally planning to record PvP stuff for this. In fact, I said that for the last video, but didn't quite work out. Between me forgetting to organize a lot of that stuff and a lot of other stuff happening, it didn't really work out.
Combat mode activated. System scan mode. System.
Alright, so this enemy tank is actually built very similar to my tank. So right here with the 215, I'm actually able to get decent lock-on speeds with pretty high damage, pretty high fire rate. The only problem is I have to give up some of the lock-on circles, so if someone's moving very fast, then this isn't going to be very effective. So I'm not sure how effective the 215 actually is with the knocker tank. Also, the knockers, they do pretty good damage, but they don't do like that much damage. So there, as you saw, the knockers did a lot worse. They did much worse, not a lot. They did much worse against enemy light tank than they did against enemy heavy tank. Which pretty much can apply to anything. If someone's really heavy and slow, then knockers are going to be more effective. If someone's a little bit lighter, then the C19s are going to be more effective. So we'll build like a C19 real quick. We'll change over. I'll keep it on the 215, and I'll switch the head over to something with more camera. Yeah. And then we'll go up against like an enemy lightweight and see how well it does there. So this would be more of like a mid-range cannon. And you can. The other cool thing about cannons is that because they're more of like, I mean, especially with the C19, you can kind of combine it with other weapons, which is kind of cool. Like the C19 can work pretty well with an autocannon. Although to be fair, autocannon's kind of mixable if anything. Oops. Did I actually change the AC properly? I might not have. It's kind of silly if I didn't.
Combat mode activated. System scan mode.
Nope, that's after the lightweight. Wait, no, that's the tank. Yeah.
System.
Well, I guess we'll be testing against the tank instead, because I'm stupid. So here, this is a terrible idea, because I don't even have the DPS. And the UNAC is a better shot than I am. Damn, I'm missing completely. But yeah, as you can see, they kind of work at mid-range, but not quite. That was terrible. Yeah, that was terrible. I went through almost all my ammo. So yeah, these C19 cannons are definitely not going to really do very well against heavyweight ACs because they just don't have enough ammo. I mean, you can bring ammo, but I don't know. Alright, let me change to the freaking lightweight that I was talking about. There we go. Alright. I probably should have just abandoned that last mission. Or, not mission, test. What am I thinking of? I don't even know, my brain's kind of fried.
Combat mode activated. System scan
Alright.
mode.
So there's the lightweight.
System combat mode.
And here, staggering the shots helps a lot because it also helps with, not only does it help with ammo, but it also means that you're a little more likely to catch someone who's trying to dodge. Because if you fire after they dodge, then well, they're gonna be stuck in a short period of rest where they can't really do very well. So right there, the cannons actually did very well, which is pretty nice. It's nice when the cannons do well. Now I'm gonna try and build like a hybrid build between like a knocker and an autocannon and see how well that works. But honestly, I've never tried that before, and it kind of sounds like a decent idea. So there we go. So we got the knocker, and then we're gonna use the autocannon. I'll be using this setup: 1 power, 2 accuracy. And I will change to... Yeah, I'm gonna try something really crazy here. Let's go for missiles. Go missiles, and then E28. And this is probably a terrible idea, but it might just work. The knocker is basically gonna be... this would be more of like an anti-player build than like something you would use in the story mode. Because what you would do here is you would use the autocannon to distract someone, and then the missiles and the knocker would be getting the really hard hits. Although autocannon hits really hard too. Let's try this. I guess it's kind of like almost like a series where I'm going to experiment a little.
Combat mode activated.
Because I'm trying to mess around with things I don't normally do.
System scan mode.
Alright. Alright, this is a pretty terrible idea. The knockers not doing anything. Yeah, knockers are they're not too accurate. I mean, if I could get the shots off with it and actually hit with it, then it would be doing tons of damage, but the problem is I'm not getting the hits off. So that's kind of disappointing. But I guess I can talk about a little short history of the cannons and how they've changed. So we'll go back to C19s. Those are the two of the important ones. So the C19 in Armored Core 5, as opposed to Verdict Day, used to be rather unique in that it hit really stupidly hard, but it also had really good accuracy. In this game, the accuracy's been reduced a ton, and it also doesn't do nearly as much damage. So it's kind of just been made significantly weaker overall. It's still usable, but only barely. And the low ammo capacity really hurts it. If it had like an ammo capacity of like 30, 40, maybe even 50, then I would say it would definitely be a good weapon, but with some really low ammo capacity, you're barely going to be killing some enemies. But like as an example, let's go look at the stats. So like as an example, I think that like in the previous game, this cannon could get like 4,800 attack power with like, I don't even know, like maybe 1,200 muzzle velocity or something ridiculous like that. I don't think the lock-on time was improved that much, but you had really high muzzle velocity and really good damage. So that combined with the, well, basically, yeah, that combination of really good muzzle velocity and really good damage basically meant that a skilled player could snipe with them and kind of just like destroy you. Now, not so much snipe as in like pop shot, whereas when you get your opportunity to shoot and you take that shot and you just do a lot of damage very quickly, kind of similar to what you might do with sniper rifles. In fact, cannons are very similar to sniper rifles in a lot of those ways. It's just that cannons have a lot less accuracy than sniper rifles. In fact, hell, I mean, look at this. Let's look at these. If we were to look at this cannon compared to a sniper rifle, excuse me. Yeah, they're hitting about the same damage numbers, but the sniper rifle has a much slower reload, more ammo, and better accuracy. So yeah, that's basically how cannons work. They're just big, like heavy sniper rifles. Kind of ironic considering the way that they work. I mean, you know, even the description right there is fairly accurate. It's high velocity, high power. And it is true that it is relatively high velocity, but like this one right here is an accuracy 2-1 with 700 muzzle velocity. If I were to compare it to like this one over here, well, not that one, that one's accuracy, but like this one out here, this is accuracy 2. This one has like half of the muzzle velocity and does less damage, and it has more ammo. But if you're not hitting anything, and when you do hit, you're not doing all that much damage. What's the point? Especially because this one's slower, actually. However, these cannons look cool too. I wish they were good, but like they don't really do it. I mean, there's a lot of like sad cannons here that are cool but not very useful. Like, I think this one's okay-ish, but it has I mean, this one has more ammo, so it's fairly close, but it has a lot. It has a lot less muzzle velocity again, so it's not really that useful. I think I tried the C16 for a while, to see how it worked. Oh wait, no, those are completely unrelated to this one, I think. Or is this just like a high, an upgraded version? I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, so I'm right. I think I actually tried the C16 for a while. And the C16, again, it doesn't really have a lot of muzzle velocity. I mean, that's a power tune C16, so maybe, do I have another C16 over here? No, I was just testing the power tune one. I forgot why I was testing that out. Is it because the... Well, yeah, why was I testing it out? Yeah, I don't see any reason why I would be using the C16. I mean, if I were to... Nah, I'm not even gonna bother going to the shop right now, that'd be silly. I mean, this one's been really rambly just because, like, the cannons are very simple, but they also have a lot of drawbacks, so... It's hard to fully justify them a lot of the time. I mean, they're definitely usable and they're fun to use, definitely. And in certain scenarios they're extremely powerful, but you have to know what those scenarios are and how to play around them. And then when you're forced out of that scenario by like an enemy sniper or an enemy autocannon tank or something like that, then you have to figure out how to deal with it. That's the main issue of this thing, or with these cannon type tanks. And then you have to decide whether you want ammo, whether you want more missiles, or whether you want better accuracy. And there's just a lot of compromises that have to be made with cannons. That's why they're interesting, but I wish that they were a little bit more powerful, so you didn't have to make quite so many compromises just to make them work. Which is the main issue with them. I mean, like, if you were to take this C19 and put it up to like 1,000 muzzle velocity, and then give it like another 500 damage, and maybe improve the lock-on speed a little bit, then these would definitely be usable. But they're just a little bit too far under what I would consider like easy to use. You know, if I were to compare it to like, so there's these two power 1 accuracy ones, right? So these, they're going to lose a lot of the muzzle velocity, but they're going to also gain a lot of damage, which is important if you have very limited ammo capacity, which you do. And again, it's like you can do that, but it doesn't work. And a lot of it is debatable. The knockers at least are very simple. Like there's really only one way to make them work. You just fucking go full auto and hope that you hit something in front of you. Because they just got that beautiful 46 reload time. But they're not that great. I mean, if you were to compare the knockers even to like the Knight is literally a cut down version of the knocker designed for use with like a lighter AC. But what's the fucking point? Like, literally every single stat on it is worse except for the weight. And the only things that use cannons anywhere are fucking tanks. Because being locked down to take a shot with a cannon is too much of a handicap for most ACs. And yeah, the Knight looks actually, I really like the style of the Knight. I think it's a stylish looking cannon to put on your mech, but it doesn't work very well. I mean, you could technically use it. It would be the same as the knocker more or less, just with every stat worse. Yeah. I mean, if the Knight had like better accuracy or something, maybe I would use it, but it's pretty much exactly the same, except with less ammo and less ammo and slightly reduced stats overall. Because really, the ammo is the main stat that actually makes a big difference. But like, tanks have stupid amounts of loading capacity. When are you ever going to run into an issue where you don't have enough room to fit your weapons on a tank? Like, that just doesn't happen. And the other problem with knockers is that if you bring 2 knockers, then you have to decide how specialized you want to be towards fighting heavy units, and so like you kind of have to bring the subcomputers just because otherwise you're not going to hit anything that isn't like a fucking tank. So yeah, I mean, cannons, they look good, they feel good, they're not that great, they're hard to make use of, they require a lot of effort, and they require very specialized builds. Well, not really specialized builds, but they require the build to be kind of centric around. No, that's saying the same thing, but they require that you know how to work around the flaws of them in order to make them work. And while it's something that most people can do after they learn, if you're new to the game, then cannon tanks are not something I would really recommend, since they're really only good against other things that are really slow, and even then, autocannons can do a lot of that very well. Like, if I were to compare that to, like... Wait, what? What? You short an autocannon? Whatever. Basically, like... So these autocannons are great because Even though it's obviously doing a lot less damage per shot, they're hitting really fucking hard. And they're I don't even know. Just like, autocannons are beautiful. They do a lot of damage very quickly even when they're not breaking through armor, whereas cannons, if they can't break through armor, like if they run into a shield, then you're basically useless. And because cannons usually work best in dual cannon setups, if you find enemy KE shields, then you're fucked. And it sucks. I mean, you can try and combine them with like a heat cannon, because heat cannons function kind of similarly, but the main problem is with that, or the main problem of that is that heat cannons have even worse accuracy than like even the knocker here. I mean, the knocker isn't too far off from a heat cannon, so I guess you could combine them really well. But yeah. Oh well. That was kind of a sad look at the state of cannons in Armored Core Verdict Day. I hope you enjoyed listening to this. If you did, then feel free to let me know by doing various things. I'm pretty sure you can figure out what those are. If not, then whatever. Continue playing Armored Core and blow the fuck out of everything. If you ever see me using Cantech, I guess you can blow the shit out of me too. You know, you can play Armored Core with me. Alright. Hope you have a good day and continue playing Armored Core. See you.